is one thing to talk about being seen by the earth, being loved by the earth, being in relationship with the earth. It's another thing to read it or to think about it. And it is a whole other level for us to embody that knowledge, for us to believe so fully that that is true or real or honest for us that we feel it in our bones. Welcome. You are listening to Our Mindful Nature, formerly titled The Mindful Minute. I'm your host, Meryl Arnett. This podcast explores the deep connection between land and self through nature-based meditations and meditative experiences that invite us back into belonging to each other, to our ancestors, to the earth, and to all beings that make up this universe. If you would like to access these meditation practices as standalone audio files, please subscribe to my newsletter at merylarnett.com. It's free, and you'll receive a new mini meditation each week, along with behind-the-scenes content and bonus material for each podcast episode. All right, grab a cup of tea, pop in your headphones, and find a comfy seat. Let's settle in for today's episode. Hello, happy Monday. Welcome. Glad to be with you all this evening. So this weekend, I had a moment that I'm willing to bet feels familiar to all of us at some point or another. It was a moment where I was with a group of people and I just really did not feel seen. I didn't feel seen. And later, I sort of carved some time out to sit and kind of be with like, what is that? What was that? What was that feeling? What am I feeling? What am I thinking? What did it bring up for me? And as part of that, I picked up James Crews' newest book of poetry, which is unbelievably beautiful. It's called Unlocking the Heart. And I thought, let me just open it and see what's there. And I opened it to this poem titled The World Loves You Back. And I want to start our class tonight by sharing this poem with you all. So this was written by James Crews. Even if no one ever touched you with the tenderness you needed, believe that the world's been holding you in its arms since the day you were born. You are not an accident or afterthought. Let rain on the roof remind you. Let sun on the skin and the neon orange of the Mexican sunflower at which a hummingbird pauses to drink. There are so many ways to hold and be held, and you could spend your whole life tallying them up without ever reaching the end of the list. The world loves you back. And naturally, I was like, it was just what I needed to read. Thank you, James. It just hit me in the right moment with the words that I needed to read. And I wanted to spend a little bit of time sitting with that and reflecting on that for all of us as a group. You know, this idea that you, that me, that we are seen for exactly who we are, like all parts of us at all times by this animate earth around us feels so important to hold in mind. And I think I really want to pay attention to, like, when we say be seen, like I said, I didn't feel seen, right? And really what I mean by that is I didn't feel that I belonged in that moment, right? I think that to say I want to be seen is I want not just like to be seen passively on the sidelines. I want to be seen as part of this, as a participant that gives and takes, that is actively engaged with. This is what it means to belong, right? If you sit on the side of a group and you don't ever contribute anything, you don't really feel a sense of belonging, right? You might have that sort of like, I'm holding on and hoping that I fit in and belong and they'll let me stay, but you don't really feel it unless you're actually in relationship with whatever the context is of that group, whether you're a participant or not. And I think that's really interesting to reflect on, like, as I talk about being seen by the animate earth or being in relationship with the animate earth, we've talked about that several times this year and several times the year before and before that. And truthfully, we're just going to keep talking about it because it is one thing to talk about being seen by the earth, being loved by the earth, being in relationship with the earth. It's another thing to read it or to think about it. And it is a whole other level for us to embody that knowledge, for us to believe so fully that that is true or real or honest for us that we feel it in our bones. And you know this because you meditate. And you know it is one thing to read a book about meditation, and it is a totally different thing to sit on the cushion yourself for 10 minutes, right? They're not even on the same playing field. And that's what we're talking about is, we can read a poem that stirs us. We can have a thought, we can journal something, we can dream something. And then the invitation is, can I show up and be in active relationship with this? Can I show up with my curiosity and my questions, my conversation, and engage with this, whatever this is in the moment, right? Whether we're talking about our relationship with the natural world around us, whether we're talking about being seated on a meditation cushion. Can I bring forth an active sense of participation and engagement and relationship with the pieces that support me in my life, right? So, to say that the world loves you back, that you're seen by the animate earth, true or not, if you don't go outside and look with your eyes open and your ears open and your heart open, you'll never know regardless, right? You can read it on a page and then never step outside and go, yeah, what does it sound like when it's raining? What do I see out this window? The same thing is true with your meditation practice. You could sit down, take the posture, close your eyes, set the timer, listen to the music, and write a grocery list for 10 minutes. Or daydream about meeting your favorite movie star, right? That you could do that and nobody would know. Nobody on the outside would know that's what you were doing during your meditation practice. But also, and also, likely that you won't get much out of that meditation practice. And also, very likely, you won't go back to it the next day because you're not in relationship with it. You don't belong to one another when there's no active participation. Yeah. I'll throw some pop culture into our talk tonight. So I have been watching the show that at least I have been seeing everywhere on Instagram and in all the little places that we see things. The show is Nobody Wants This on Netflix. I'm looking to see if I see, okay, I see a nod. So, okay, it's cute. I totally enjoyed it. Um, And so one of the main characters is like a young rabbi. And in the first episode or second episode, I can't remember, he gets up and he's giving a talk. And it's a talk that we've all heard, right? It's paraphrased many, many times. I will paraphrase it here tonight. And essentially, what he says is there's a parable of a person who is stranded on a roof or an island or wherever. And this person is stranded and he's praying, God, please save me. Please, please save me. I am stuck. Help me. And a person shows up in a boat and says, hey, I got a boat. Come on, I'll give you a ride. And the guy says, no, no, it's okay. And so the boat goes on and he's praying, God, please help me. Please save me. Please save me. And a helicopter comes by. He says, hey, I'll give you a ride. And the guy says, no, no, it's okay. I'm waiting for God. Right. And of course, he's not saved. He passes away. He shows up in heaven and he says to God, like, hey, I was praying. Why didn't you help me? Here I was asking for all the things. And so the parable goes, God says, yeah, I sent you a boat. And then I sent you a helicopter. You gotta meet me halfway. You gotta be engaged, right? You have to be awake. And I feel a little bit like that's where tonight our talk is going. Is it's one thing to say, I want a meditation practice. I want to be a meditator. It's one thing to say, I want to like have some sort of active, engaged, caring relationship with the earth around me. That's step one. But then we have to step into relationship with that, whatever that is that you're naming for yourself. Because we can't say, I had a horrible weekend. I wasn't seen and I want the earth to see me, and not go outside. We also can't say that. And then when we're having a great day, not go outside and say thank you. Right? It can't just be take, take, take. And it can't just be, I'm going to pray for it and then ignore what's around me. All of our practice is asking us, all of what we experience in our daily life is asking us, come into reciprocal relationship with your life. Come into this moment where we can say, I see, I hear, I smell, I feel what is happening for me in this moment. And I will show up and be willing to engage that, whether that's by asking a question, journaling, drawing, dancing, having a conversation with yourself, saying thank you, praying, offering gratitude. Like there's a million ways to be in relationship with a moment. And I believe that our work is to step into that relationship. I don't want us as meditators to let this be a passive practice. And that's so easy to do, but isn't it so boring to be like, well, let me just turn on the app and close my eyes and like wait for this 10 minutes to pass by versus, kind of showing up and rubbing your hands together and being like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen today. Right? Or, if you're a dream journaler, as you know, I am, and like, I don't know what those dreams mean. I've had some wackadoo dreams lately, and I don't know, but I'm here for them and I will write them down and I will be like, I wonder what that meant. And often the answers come down the road with an idea, an inspiration, some random connection that happens elsewhere. And I'm like, oh, that's what the elephant represented. Of course. Same thing in our practice. You sit down and you set your timer, you do your meditation practice, and you have some weird daydream or some memory that you haven't thought of in ages pops up for you. And you're like, that was weird, or I don't know what that meant. And we write it down in our journals and we go about our day engaged and awake. And that day or the next day or the next, you're like, oh, here's the connection, right? Of course I thought about that story. And now I have the opportunity to ask a new question or turn down a new path or simply say, I'm going to wait a little longer and see what happens next. So I would like to revisit a practice that we did a few weeks ago. It's a practice in the forest. And it's a practice of really connecting to the sense of exchange that breathing has, right? So we breathe in what the trees are exhaling. We breathe out what the trees are going to inhale. And I want to use that practice as a way to explore being in relationship with something, right? One of the things I really want to invite for us is that it doesn't have to look how you first think it's going to look, right? For me to say, let's be in active relationship or reciprocal relationship with the earth or the meditation practice or whatever it is, likely we all have some sort of idea of what that means. And what I'd like for us is to just sort of set that idea to the side and go, I wonder what else. I wonder what other ideas might show up so that we can let however we're meant to be in relationship with our meditation practice in this moment and the earth in this moment is open to us. We don't have to have the answer right now. We do have to ask the question. Does that sound okay? Yeah. Okay. So let's find ourselves getting comfortable. Oops, sorry. Find ourselves getting comfortable here. You might shift around a little bit. Settle yourself in, adjust your sound. The forest will come into play here in a moment. And you will take time to settle yourself fully into your chair or the cushion or on the ground. You will decide if you would like to close your eyes or you'd rather just take a soft gaze down towards the ground. Both are welcome. You let your arms rest, your hands rest. And together as a group here, we'll take a deep breath in, exhaling out a sigh. And let's just do that again, inhaling deeply, exhaling out a sigh. And then allowing your breath just to flow. You get to breathe comfortably. And we will invite ourselves into relationship with our practice tonight by silently saying to ourselves, now is my time to meditate. Now is my time to meditate. And as you say those words to yourself, I invite you to figuratively rub your hands together and think or feel to yourself, oh, I wonder what will happen next. And with a sense of curiosity, let's imagine letting our bodies drop as much as possible into the cushion, the chair, or the ground beneath you. Softening any gripping you can find, especially in the belly. in the chest or along the shoulders. Letting go along your jaw, the inside of the cheeks, across the eyes, and between the ears. As we sit and we breathe, we'll take time to simply notice the sounds of an ancient forest around you. With birds and breeze, branches creaking, an occasional hoot from an owl. And you might feel or imagine yourself seated amongst those trees. And as the trees move around you, you feel yourself breathing. Take time to connect to that flow of breath. Savoring the way air moves into the body. Savoring the way air is released from the body. And over the next few breaths, start to sense, feel, imagine that you are breathing in relationship with these trees around you. As you inhale, the trees exhale. As you breathe out, the tree inhales in. And you allow your own rhythm, your own visual story or questions to arise. You feel yourself in relationship to the animate earth around you. Every breath an opportunity to be seen and to see. Every breath an opportunity to belong, an opportunity to include. We'll settle into silence here. Letting breath hold you in relationship with the earth. Letting the distractions, the stories, the daydreams that show up be part of the conversation. All is welcome here. As we breathe in, as we breathe out. Breathing in what the moment is offering you. And breathing out what you are offering the moment. Taking one more moment to simply feel into this reciprocal relationship. Without any sense of rush at all, allow yourself to breathe just a little bit deeper. Letting breath expand your lungs, your ribs, your belly. Maybe start to wiggle into your fingers and your toes, just remembering your edges, finding your spine and your shoulders. Allowing yourself to take a deep breath in and release a soft sigh. And one final time, we'll take in the words of "The world loves you back." Even if no one ever touched you with the tenderness you needed, believe that the world's been holding you in its arms since the day you were born. You are not an accident or afterthought. Let rain on the roof remind you. Let sun on the skin and the neon orange of the Mexican sunflower at which a hummingbird pauses to drink. There are so many ways to hold and be held, and you could spend your whole life tallying them up without ever reaching the end of the list. Taking all the time you need to come back to open your eyes if you haven't already. Thank you, friends. Thanks for listening to Our Mindful Nature. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider sharing it with a friend or leaving me a review wherever you get your podcasts. It helps others to find the show. And let's face it, we could all use a few more meditators in our lives. Our Mindful Nature is recorded on Muskogee land and produced with the support of Brianna Nielsen. Deep gratitude is offered to acoustic ecologists Gordon Hempton and Nick McMahon for the use of their nature field recordings in many of these episodes. To join my live classes, ask questions, or learn about my teacher trainings, please visit merylarnett.com. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next week.